Hello, Merrimack. My name is Rosemarie Rung, and I'm host of this show called Discover Merrimack. And Discover Merrimack is all about discovering all the hidden and not so hidden gems of Merrimack. And I'm thrilled to have today a young gem and an older gem in Merrimack. Welcome, Paul Goodridge and Bella Saxon. And I learned about a great project that Bella did this summer. Why don't you tell us about it, Bella?
So I basically researched the history of MYA, and I just got to learn about how it started and was established, and it really took me through because I played soccer as a young kid, not knowing anything about soccer when I was little at MYA.
Okay. How old were you when you started soccer?
I was 7 years old.
Well, you know, we have a great picture of that too.
Yes.
You were so cute. I love looking at kids when they're just starting soccer. They tend to all go to the ball at the same time. And
Yes, they do.
yeah. So how long did you stay with MYA?
I stayed with MYA for about 2 years, and then I coached for a while.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So in your course, you probably learned about Paul.
I did.
Uh-huh.
He was the founder of MYA, and he discovered the nonprofit organization that helped a lot of kids find where their heart is in their sports.
So Paul, tell us about those early days when you founded MYA.
Well, it was very interesting that I moved from Western New York to Merrimack, and the only program they had for youth at that time was a baseball program.
Mm-hmm.
So Richard Belleville was sort of a coordinator for the coaches of baseball, and they started the field at Twin Bridges, and that's where I met Dick. That fall, I said, Dick, we should have a basketball program. And that's how the MYA started, because we wanted to start basketball. But the school board put a restriction on that we had to have insurance. Mm. And that was the reason that we formed a legal organization to have insurance. And that's where we came up with the name, the Merrimack Youth Association.
Now, what year was it founded, Bella? Do you Paul?
68.
Oh, in 1968.
I was going to say 67.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
So
think I was 68.
Yeah, so it's 55 years old.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Well, her mother was a lawyer, and she was amazed that the bylaws that were established 50 years ago are still in place.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's really interesting.
I wonder how many children have gone through the program.
Thousands.
Oh, at least. I know my 3 kids have, all different sports, from soccer, basketball, baseball. Yeah. What sports are offered through the MYA, Bella?
There used to be just baseball in the beginning, and then it went over to soccer, and then there's basketball now because they found a part of the gymnasium at the high school or the middle school that they could use and borrow for basketball. And then there was
Well, when we established the ferry schools, that gave us 2 more gymnasiums. Oh. And then when we did the Master Cola upgrade, that's when we put in Smith Gym.
Okay.
And
because that gets a lot of use through MYA.
Oh, that was a great.
Yeah. And I think they even have lacrosse now and wrestling. Do they have wrestling now? Is that part of MYA?
Yeah, I think it's part of the MYA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, because I know, my children went through we coached too. I didn't coach, but my husband coached softball, and it was really exciting the time when the batting helmets had the little ponytail holes in the back. It was like, it changed the whole thing. So, Bella, tell us more about this extended learning opportunity. How much work have you put into it? What was the time you went in? How many people did you speak with? What was your research like?
So I spoke with Paul Goodridge a lot about just the beginning and how it all started. I also went around Merrimack and interviewed a couple of the founders and the history people that have experienced the background of MYA and Merrimack. It was a really good experience because as a teenager going into college and it's summer, I didn't expect that I would love it so much and find out so many different things about Merrimack that I didn't know before.
It's amazing because you mentioned that you're going on to college. So you played soccer all through then. Did you
Yeah.
play at Merrimack High?
I did. I played varsity for 4 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
And
and
I
it
think
was-
we even have a photo of that. Yeah, look at that, number 5.
Yes.
Good move, yeah.
That was my travel team. So I started at MYA, and then I persuaded to the team called the Mustangs, and it was the first travel
Okay.
team that I was on. They were already a team before. I was a bit younger than them, but the coach was Caroline Scully, who is my still friend's mom, and she coached me through the Mustangs for 2 years, and then we switched to the Maniacs, and I stayed on that team for about 5 years. And we won a bunch of championships, and then I moved
Awesome.
on to high school.
And what position did you play at Merrimack High?
I play right and left wing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so a lot
So-
of running.
So, would you consider that playing as a young child with MYA really helped develop your interest?
Yes, definitely. I did a lot of sports when I was little. I would be like playing karate, doing karate, swimming, horseback riding, soccer, and I just picked soccer and I stuck with it.
Oh, okay.
But it was definitely because of MYA and the coaches that I had during the time.
Now, Paul, when you started MYA, you said you moved here from Western New York. Were your children involved with it?
My son Tim played for the first basketball team in the MYA.
Okay.
And of course, Tim went on to coach Merrimack High School for 16 years.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Yeah, I used to go to the games, and I really enjoyed watching him coach. Just the restraint that he exercised almost all the time was it was admirable. Because basketball can be pretty intense.
Yeah.
Yes. No, the bylaws that we had, I think, were formulated because of my experience in Western New York. One of the bylaws required that all of the funding would be MYA. There would be no funding by baseball, funding by soccer or anybody else. It was all MYA funds. And that came about because where I was involved with a charitable organization in New York, we decided to stop funding anybody because we had so many requests. And I said that we didn't want all of these different organizations going out to the merchants and asking for money. All of it came to MYA, and it was MYA's responsibility to set up budgets for each organization.
So how does that work, Paul? Each sport has their each sport has their own.
It has their own director, and there's a board. The MYA has a president, treasurer, secretary, and then each of the directors of each sport is part of the
Like the board.
board. Yeah,
Okay, and then and it's all volunteer run.
it's all volunteer. That was one of the things that there would be no paid individual. We did later, because of the treasurer, did get some payment, but when the Parks and Recreation came in, I had reservations because now you got paid people, and you're still trying to run a nonprofit organization. Nonprofit came about because of Budweiser,
Oh, okay.
and when we approached Budweiser for a donation, they said you have to be nonprofit. So that's when Dan Cantera filed all the documentations with the IRS to make it a nonprofit organization.
There's a lot to it behind the curtain of running a nonprofit.
Well, one of the other things that we have, I think is great, is no cut. If you sign up for MYA, you're going to play. And as Frank Tradowski said, that was one of the biggest problems, was always finding enough ball fields, gymnasiums to support the continued growth of the organization.
And I think that's so important. No
Yeah.
cut. Every child has an opportunity to play. They get to find if they have a passion for it or not.
Yeah.
And it's very inclusive.
Yeah.
Because why introduce, it should be fun and not be so competitive
Scary,
at
yeah.
such a young age.
Yeah.
Now, Billy, you mentioned that you coached soccer. So how did
Yes.
that come about?
So my mom knew a friend of hers that coached for a kids team, and her son was on the team. It was usually on Saturdays. I would go with the kids. at around 9 a.m. in the morning, which again for teenagers not like the best thing, but it was the best experience that I had, and it was really great learning like how I learned soccer through these kids. And it was really cool.
And I think that's so important because I think we have trouble nowadays getting enough volunteers
Absolutely.
to support the team.
Yeah.
So I just want to put a plug in to anybody who's listening, even if you don't have children, if you want to help contribute to this town and to our kids, is volunteer. And they could probably go to like MYA. Is there a website for MYA?
Yeah, there's a website, but they also have, I think, a monthly meeting. And they could go to that meeting and find out more information.
Oh, okay. No, that sounds good. And Bella, so you've had this long career that started as a small child in MYA.
Yes.
And now what's your next step?
I'm going to St. Michael's College in Vermont to play soccer. I'm really excited because I wasn't too sure about playing anymore because it was all very stressful. The recruiting process is very, very, very stressful. But it was really, I'm really excited. It's a really good opportunity.
And I was excited to see the picture. I didn't realize they had signing ceremonies. So
Yes.
Look at this. This is pretty exciting to see you sign up. And who are the people that are in the photo?
So on the left, that's my coach Carolyn. She coached me for about 10 years. And then on the right is where it all started at MYA, and that's my coach Scott LaCosta. And he is my role model in soccer. He played Division I soccer. I'm not really sure where, but that's where it all started. And we're still really good family friends.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So they must be so proud that you're going to be on a scholarship to St.
Yes.
Michael's. That's a great school.
Yes, I'm very excited.
Yeah, and it's close enough to home, but not too
Not
close.
too close. Yeah.
I'm sure you're going to miss your mother a lot.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So, if you were wanting to send a message to any parents out there to encourage them to get their children involved in MYA or to get them involved, what would you say to them?
I would say that it's an amazing experience, and that the kids don't just learn how to play soccer, but they learn how to bond with kids that they'll know their whole lives. I still know people from my MYA experience, and they're all my best friends, and I just think that it's just such a good time.
Yeah. And Paul, you must be just so gratified to see what's happened with that idea that you had 55 years ago.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, can't be prouder.
Yeah. And now you have probably great-grandchildren that are involved?
Yes. Yes, Rosemary.
Yeah.
Great-grandchildren.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's really exciting. And I know sometimes it's nice just to stop in, especially at the MYA field, to watch just a game.
Yeah,
I know
it's very fun to watch them because they're not really sure what they're doing yet, but some of them get the hang of it. So I had a girl on my team that, and they're all like 5 and 4 years old. So she was just a rock star. She would like take the ball, dribble through all the boys, and then score, and then do it again and again. It was really funny though.
That's right, because soccer's co-ed at the young age. Yeah, and they must have just worshipped you, Bella.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah.
I received a card from a little boy that I coached, and it just made my heart melt. It was really cute.
And I think that's another thing we don't think about MYA is that it gives such a great opportunity for children to be exposed to role models.
Yeah.
And to be able to, everyone contributes. Everyone plays, everyone contributes.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. Now, what do you think the future of MYA is, Paul? Do you see it expanding or?
I think it's going to continue to have problems finding enough volunteers, coaches, and funding. The funding part of the funding is from the town, and part of the funding is through the MYA. And in the early days, we had donkey basketball, and played the school teachers, and we even had the Boston Patriots in a basketball game. So,
oh wow!
Yeah, that was before they became the New England Patriots. So Dana Patterson helped out a lot on that.
So there's funding We have to keep supporting the funding and
Volunteers.
and volunteers. And funding, you know, a lot of people look at funding as just supporting the operational expenses of MYA, but you have to look at it as an investment too.
Yes.
It's very passionate.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you wonder what our community would be like if we didn't have MYA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the children were, you know, they wouldn't have an outlet for physical activity, wouldn't have the social opportunities to meet other kids and work as a team.
Other towns have tried to organize sports programs, but none of them have found the right key like Merrimack has.
Yeah. No, it's just been a great program, and I think what it contributes to our town makes our town attractive for families.
Yeah.
You know, people always say Merrimack's a great community to raise children, and MYA is such a critical element of that.
It's just a very welcoming place for families.
I think it was the 20th anniversary that Pat Newberger and her husband had moved from New York City, and she said Merrimack was ahead of its time because it had girls' programs.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
And you look at now,
People moved here because of the MYA.
You did a good thing.
well, that's great. Well, I want to is there anything else you want to add? This has been great. I appreciate both of you taking time out to come and talk about it. And Bella, so now that this is kind of bringing to close your extended learning opportunity, what's the next step?
For MYA?
Or for the ELO? I mean, you wrote a paper?
Yeah, I wrote a research paper about my experience, and this is the public speaking part of it. And then I talked to the high school board and hopefully get my way, and then I can be off to St. Mike's.
Great. Well, hopefully maybe you can share that paper, maybe put in the library or MYA. I'm sure it would be really interesting to read your research. And thank you so much.
Well,
Of course, thank you.
One of the things that is going to come out of this is the public speaking program should be introduced to the high school. And because the state just passed a law that you had to have an ethics course in the school. So in order for Merrimack to comply with the state, they should think about introducing a public speaking program.
That's a great idea. Well, you know, Paul, I can hook you up with the chairman of the Merrimack School Board, and I think it might be something she would consider bringing forward. So we'll just have to, you know, kind of grease the wheels with her.
I think it's time we did that.
Yeah, I think so too. I think you might have some influence over her. So we'll
Not much.
Well, thank you both so much for being here. I really appreciate it, and thank you also for all you've done over the years, Paul, for MYA.
We had a lot of great volunteers.
Yeah.
You know, I won't name anybody because there's so many of them that contributed, you know.
And Bella, thank you so much for giving our community this opportunity to look back and really see how important it is that
of course,
to keep the MYA going too. So thank you so much,
Yeah.
and thank you for watching. Until next time, bye. Have a great day.
Yeah.